Hello, welcome to another episode of Not Too Deep. I'm your host, Grace Helbig. Today we have a returning guest. Meghan Rienks is with us. You might know her from her podcast, Don't Blame Me, from her YouTube channel, or maybe you've read her new book, You're Not Special. We talk about all of those things. Meghan's so lovely to talk to. We get into the trials and tribulations she had writing her book, which is fascinating, and there were lots of trials, lots of tribulations. We also talk about the recent YouTube drama she went through, where her channel had been hacked, and how difficult it was to get any course of action from the people at the top on YouTube. And I think it's a really helpful conversation for people that might be experiencing that in the social media world or have the potential to experience something like that. She's got a great insight on all the hardships that she endured, all while maintaining an optimistic, sarcastic layer of comedy through it all. So enjoy this episode of Not Too Deep with Meghan Rienks and go read that book, You're Not Special. How uplifting is that?
Not too deep, not too deep with Grace Helbig.
Hell yeah, Meghan Rienks back on Not Too Deep. Welcome back.
Woo woo! Thanks for having me.
Of course, of the many things that you do, this time around you get to add author to that list. That's so exciting.
I am currently rubbing it in my boyfriend Monts's face every day. I'm like, what's it like to date an author? I'm like, what's it like? And he was a creative writing major in college. So I'm like, do you feel like inadequate? Like you have a whole degree and like, I didn't even go to college. I'm just being an asshole.
But yeah, it comes with the territory now. But okay, I've heard so much from Melissa about the book writing experience, process, a lot of it. I want to hear from you because this has been years in.
Oh, yeah.
Every book is, years in the making, obviously, but I feel like you've had quite a roller coaster in getting this product, which is now officially out in people's hands. Take us through the roller coaster of the journey of this book.
Oh, I mean, a roller coaster is a great way to describe it. It's funny because I always knew I wanted to write a book. So I had told my agents really early on. And so I was lucky. So a lot of people are like, how do you sell a book? And I'm like, I have no fucking idea. Like, I got to be one of those lucky people who gets like approached for it. But, it literally I went through 2 publishers. I went through giving back my first advance to then finding a new publisher and doing all of it essentially all over again.
Wow.
Which was insane. And that's the stuff that took like the longest. Like it definitely took me a while to like write and edit, but the stuff that was the absolute longest process was me being a complete and total hard ass and being like, no, I don't agree with any of this. I'm not doing it, throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
And then, eventually getting my way. So moral of the story, if you complain enough, they will cave in.
But I think that that's really important to recognize that like something fell off, something didn't feel right. And because a book, I feel like, is sometimes way more intimate than like a video that you post or a podcast that you post, that to have any sense of it not feeling right and being able to like speak up in the moment of that and talk to people, especially that are professionals that have been, doing this longer than you have, it's hard to, for me as someone that doesn't like confrontation in any capacity, it's hard to recognize that it's okay to like say no to something. I mean, for you, was that a crazy process to be like, I'm actually going to walk away and move and shift over somewhere new?
So I'm the opposite. I love confrontation. It is my drug. I fucking live for it. I love it.
I'm going to outsource any like issues that I have to you as my new publicist to handle for me.
I will do it. I like confrontation when I'm in the driver's seat. And like, I'm not a kind of person, like I'm never going to stand my ground unless I'm 100% sure on something because like my track record is like 100% because I will not dig my heels in if I'm even a little bit unsure. I'm like, no, I'm going to be so hardcore about it. I'm really lucky that I've had like the same manager forever. And so her and I are really close. And so a lot of the stuff was like getting filtered through her. And she knew I was like really upset and uncomfortable. But it's exactly what you said, where it was the book is so vulnerable and writing a book is so vulnerable in general. My whole point was like, I don't feel safe. Like, I don't feel fucking safe in your hands to like go out and do a book tour and like present this whole thing as like, this is me. This is great. Like, this is something that I'm so fucking proud of. And I was so not. And my passive aggressive ass, I literally forgot about this until I was like cleaning up my computer. I then, because it's a very, giving back your book advancement's not like a thing. Like that's not
Right.
really a thing that people do. And everybody discouraged me. Like even my team, who like I love, and we've talked about it since. But when you write a book, you're spending so much more one-on-one time with your publisher than everybody else is. So you really know versus like word of mouth to telling them. And I just got to this petty ass fucking point where I edited the book down from it was like 350 pages. I edited it down to 30 of all of the most like surface level, nothing deep, nothing intense. And then I edited everything to have like a happy ending because that's what they wanted, even though it wasn't like real. And then I also they didn't like the names. So then I combined they gave me a list of 30 names, which were all awful. And then I combined all of them. And then I made that the new title page. And then I said, a book about Meghan Rienks. And they never received it. I sent it to my manager and she goes, message received, loud and clear. We will give the book advance back. She's like, I can't send this to them. And I was like, well, this is what I would publish.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that sometimes you really have to present things in a dramatic way for people to understand where you're coming from, because business side of stuff, people don't have the emotional investment that you have in the work itself, so you have to kind of shake people sometimes and be like, this is how I'm feeling about it. On a more broad level, how do you describe the book to people?
I describe it as if your best friend wrote a self-help book who dropped out of college and doesn't have a psychology degree. So it's not necessarily the best advice you'd ever get, but it really is honestly the inspiration for my podcast was based off of this. So it's giving advice, but all of the advice is qualified by, oh God, my hair. Listen to this funny story that happened to me, or listen to my own personal experience with this. And then I'm kind of giving you advice through it. So I have had people who are like, it's a sort of memoir. Is any part fiction? I go, no, I mean, it's not like a real memoir because I haven't done anything like that revolutionary. So that's why it's a sort of memoir, because I am not that confident. But yeah, I think it very much from, I mean, I obviously can't read it as someone who's not me, but from what I've heard from everybody else, it literally just sounds like me, and it sounds like you're talking to a friend, which I think is a much more approachable take to self-help, because I'm there are professionals and people with PhDs that I definitely want, drawing, I don't know, giving me anesthesia and all of that stuff. But then there's sometimes where I'm this is you went to school for all of these years and this is everything you learned and I'm supposed to learn it in 300 pages. I don't think that's going to be valid for me. So it's a little mix of memoir and then self-help.
Cool. And so on a level from completely not personal to airing out every piece of dirty laundry you have, where does the intimacy fall in the book?
I would say that I probably have 2 pieces of dirty laundry left. That's it.
Wow.
I would say that I only have probably 2. I mean, it gets very personal, but to a constructive point. And I think that's something that I'm glad that it's coming out when I'm a little bit older. I'm only 26, but when I first started writing it, I was 22.
Right.
And there's a lot of anger and you're fucking pissed and you're getting your feelings all out. And I was like, okay, this is a journal and you need to simmer it down and come up with something constructive for people to take away from the story.
Right.
So I think I hope it doesn't feel as much like word vomit as it does of oh, look at these things that I've been through and this is how I've processed it. But it's personal.
That's good. I mean, because I think that's, at least for me, when I first discovered you online through your whole, the cosmetic surgery journey. The nose job. It's so fascinating because you were so transparent about everything and just the gross day in and day out of this is what happens when you get a nose job, unapologetically in a way. And so there is, I think, for your audience, a super fascination with the life you've led, and to know that you've done so much work on yourself personally to be able to, like you said, have processed all these things and come out with like an understanding to present to people rather than like, here's some crazy shit that happened to me. Isn't that crazy? But instead being like, that was crazy, but here's like the things, the major takeaways that can probably affect your life differently. Did you have, did you talk to your family throughout the creative process of it?
No. So I think that's the thing that everybody, I mean, literally everyone from my like fucking hometown was like, I bought the book and I skipped straight to the chapter about your parents. And I'm like, well, you like, bitch, you know me. Like, why, like, you know this story. And it's like, no, I just like wanted to see like what version was in the book. So yeah, I mean, I start the chapter about my parents. And so I would say, so that's the chapter that everybody I would say is like was the most wanting to hear, because it went from like, especially like you said, the nose job videos, like you were seeing all of my life and like my family in it. And then it kind of went radio silent and people had a lot of questions. And I think people who watched my videos regularly could also see that I really pulled back from my personal life. So like I started dating my boyfriend Mats around that same time. I didn't show him on camera for a year, didn't show my parents on camera, wasn't showing my friends on camera. Like everything was like so, people had seen me be like so personal and then really take a step back. So I think everyone was like, what's it going to be?
But yeah, you took a curtain and you went close and everyone's like, wait, what's behind the curtain now? Why is the curtain closed? And I'm sure the amount of assumptions that happened from everyone based off of that must have been so overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was really, really, really hard when it like first kind of started and like I was like pulling everything back because it was like, you know, a way fresher kind of wound and I was like still processing all of it. And I am so glad that like the book has come out and that chapter specifically has come out when I'm in such a different fucking headspace and like so like I'm removed from it in a way that I think is so much more productive for people to read. But yeah, I mean, people will, if they've read it, they will have seen, but it definitely, I even started writing the book before all of the shit like happened with like where like the shit that like really hits the fan in that chapter before that happened. And so I literally started the chapter being like, well, didn't think I was going to write this one. And I was like, well, at least as it was happening, my best friend kept being like, well, like, at least you're writing a book. Like, you could put it in the book. And
there's almost like a rationalization for trauma experience because now it can become a creative content for you.
Yes. No, that's how my mind went. I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's actually like get some fucking use out of this shitty stuff.
Totally. Do you have a favorite part of the book? Would you say it's that part, or is there something else that sticks out to you?
So I think that, I mean, I think the one that I had the most fun writing, because I like to write. I just also hate it, you know? Like, like
the physicality of sitting down and like singularly focusing on writing, because I think we're similar in that like I have to be doing multiple things at once, or I feel strange or like non-productive. And writing, you can't do that.
No, and then you would write like 5 pages to go, well, that sucks, but I'm in the groove now, so I'm going to delete all of that and then like start this chapter again.
Yeah.
So I would say the one that was the most fun for me to write is I have a chapter called My Date with a GDI, and it's like the worst date ever. And did you go to a school with sororities and fraternities? College?
Yes, but it was such small potatoes that it was like it was like the generic version of sororities and fraternities.
So we used to call the people who weren't affiliated in sororities and fraternities GDIs, goddamn independents. Oh. And so he was like the GDI I went on a date with. And that was probably the most fun for me to write because like you were saying, those experiences where like, I need to like, it feels like that whole fucking story feels like when you eat shit and nobody else sees and you're like, I needed somebody else to see this. Like, this is so embarrassing and so bad. And like, you're like laughing and kind of crying, but you're like, I need someone else in this with me. That's what that whole experience, like in that whole date felt like. And I just remember like that whole night being like, what? And so it felt really nice to kind of write about it. And I didn't know if anybody else would have that feeling because it's kind of like, did you have to be there? Like, is it that interesting? But I would say out of all of the chapters that aren't like the more like emotional ones that people have been relating to. Like everybody's been like, dude, that fucking one, like fuck that Nathan dude, like that's insane. And I was like, okay, cool. So like it was fucking insane. So that's probably my favorite.
Oh, that's so exciting. And obviously very makes me want to read it immediately. Did you have to awkwardly get permissions from people that you were mentioning in the book?
So the first draft that I wrote everyone's real names just because like it's so much easier for me to keep
it
track
straight.
of.
Yeah.
And so now my friends will like reference like certain, or like even like people who've read it will reference certain characters. I'm like, I have no idea who you're talking about. Like I changed all of the names. Like that was the last thing that I did. So I'm like, I don't know who that is. So I made a master list on my phone and I sent it to all of like my home friends so they could like keep track. But the only people whose names I used their real names, I used a couple of kids from high school. I used one kid from high school, his first and last name, just because like he's a firsty lasty, and he only gets like 2 shout outs, but they're both like funny that I'm saying his full name,
right?
And it's all positive. So I like asked him, and he was like, "Oh, for sure, I'll buy the book." And then my best friend Sydney, her name is her name, and then my best friend, one of my other best friends, his twin brother, him and I dated when we were in 7th grade. And I asked him, we don't talk anymore because, you know, rough breakup, 7th grade. And I like asked his twin, who's my best friend, to ask him. And he was like, yeah, as long as it's not defamatory. And I was like, what does he think I'm going to say about him? Like, he doesn't even have a whole chapter. He has like a small reference.
Right.
But I wanted to keep like, if I could keep like any little references of real people's names, like that's more like Easter egg for me.
Sure.
But there's probably only 5 names that are real, and then everybody else I changed because I mean you don't have to technically. You can
but you have to like legally get permission from everyone.
You don't even have. It's just to be nice. You just have to give them a heads up. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had to legally get permission in case they could sue you if they found something, like you said, defamatory.
So I've learned a lot about defamatory cases leading up to my book.
Wonderful.
There's really no money in a defamatory case. And so the only time that you actually sue for defamation is like if you're a celebrity or an actor and you sue a publication for printing something wrong, and then you can prove you lost out on a job because of said article.
Gotcha.
So it's not, but I also was just like, I love confrontation, but like I don't want anyone who's in the book in a negative light to be like, hello. And I'm like,
right. And then it creates a story for the second book.
Exactly.
It's perfect. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, I have to ask you all about this journey of your channel being hacked because I think there's probably a lot for people that are content creators and want to be content creators to learn from your experience, which is the theme, learning through Meghan's experiences.
Yay.
Okay, we'll be right back with more Not Too Deep.
Not too deep with Grace Helbig.
Are you thinking about quitting drinking, but you're not sure where to start? If alcohol is no longer helping you live the life that you want, now is the time to try something new. And Tempest is a digital recovery program that can help you stop drinking and feel better. They offer 3 annual membership plans based on the level of care you need and how much time you'd like to commit. Each plan is designed to support you wherever you are on your recovery journey, whether you're still drinking or you've already got some experience with sobriety. Their membership plans help you learn healthy habits, discover new coping mechanisms, and get connected with a community of folks who are going through the same thing. And with virtual support meetings, weekly lessons, live lectures, and educational resources, Tempest can help you change your relationship with alcohol forever. Tempest isn't just about quitting drinking, it's about building a life that you don't need to escape from. So visit jointempest.com to learn more and use code GRACE to get $50 off any membership option you choose. That's tempest.com, TEMPEST.com, and use the code GRACE for $50 off. Let's talk about your channel. Because I feel like you're just a person that loves to go on journeys like this.
I should go on The Bachelor.
I know, right? I feel like you should have like such travel miles because you've been on so many journeys. This this whole catastrophe debacle with the hacking of your channel, for people that don't know about this, can you explain a little bit or as much as you want
Yeah.
about this?
So I think it was last fucking October. I had gotten an attempt to hack my main channel, and I am not confident about a lot of things, but I'm very confident about my security and also about my internet sleuthing abilities.
Yeah.
So I was able to like get that person out. They unsuccessfully they were unsuccessful in getting into my channel.
Okay.
And then I filed a claim with YouTube just to make sure, even though they never got in.
You're
and
taking all the right precautions.
Oh, I'm all about precautions. And my videos were just like suddenly they were uploaded, but you couldn't see them on my channel. And so it was like a very obvious, seemed like a really easy thing to me that I was like, I mean, like all of my brand, like my channel artwork is still there. Everything's still there. Like you can search my videos, but they're just like not showing up on my channel. So like that feels weird. You can get to it from a direct link. Thought it was going to be really simple and like fixed really quickly, and took like a month or so for lots of like, no, nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. And like, we don't see what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is a crazy thing because I think a lot of people that obviously haven't had any difficulties with YouTube and see it as this completely fully functional platform, this is really important for people to hear because you're not new to this platform. You've been using it for like how many years at this point? 10 years at this point. And you've provided a lot in terms of, for the content, for the platform, on behalf of just being an independent content creator. And the immediate inability for them to hear and recognize a problem with you is so important for people to hear about, because I think a lot of people still live in this blissful ignorance that the platform is perfect.
Yeah, and I think I was definitely guilty of, I will fully admit that I think I knew that the platform wasn't perfect, but like kind of in that asshole way of like, well, that wouldn't necessarily apply to me because like I have like a manager, I have agents, I have access that I can kind of surpass the system that's built there. And I understand that like you can't deal, like a platform that's that big, they can't deal with every single complaint of every single channel. I'm like, they're going to invest their time in the ones that are making them money. Is that the like, if we're talking about like the greatest morals like in the world? No, but like also they're a profitable business. And so then I was like, wait, so if this is what's happening to me, what is happening to the channels in my mind that I thought would be getting the treatment that I was getting? Not that I thought I deserved it again, but just more along the lines thinking of it like a business.
Well, you also you had never had to really think about this. Same for me is that I have a lot of content creator friends that are very involved in the reform that needs to happen on the YouTube platform. And I am, for better or worse, mostly worse, not as active in that arena because I have never firsthand had to deal with this kind of shit. And so once you're faced with this and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm knocking at the door and I can see someone's home and no one's coming to the door. What's going that you're like seeing them close their curtains and you're like, I know you're home. What's going on?
That's literally the exact feeling that I had. And it was one of those things where everything just kept getting worse. And I kept giving them the benefit of the doubt because like they're this massive company and like they've got it figured out. I'm not going to question their process because like I'm not a coder. I like don't know how this kind of stuff works. Really what I've learned over the course of my life is like, I definitely am glad I dropped out of college because I think I could have any job that I want. Like I could be a editor, I could be a publisher, and I could do that. But yeah, it was a wild journey that I don't even, I have like Lily Marston to thank for so much of it because she was on the outside, she was being like Claire Danes from Homeland and putting all of the little strings together where I was very living in it. So I wasn't kind of seeing the bigger picture or seeing how ridiculous it was. And she was talking to her other friends who were creators and all of this kind of stuff. And she was the one who was like, dude, this is something so much bigger than you. This is something that's like, you have to make a video about this. This is not normal. Like this is so crazy and so bad. And it like, and I didn't even research or go through the emails or make a timeline or do anything until the day that I filmed part 1. And like, I'm so heated in part 1. And that's because I just realized that like how fucking crazy it all was. I was like, oh my God, like how have I not noticed?
I'm very mad about this.
Yes. I went from being like, they've got it to be like, they clearly do not have it. They do not have this covered at all.
And that's such a strange feeling to be like, this thing that I kind of didn't realize I was blindly trusting doesn't work for me. And my only option is to scream out loud about it and let people know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so Lily helped you make this video that like explained very openly to people what was going on, which I think is great because what are your options at that point?
Mm-hmm. No, so I was completely lost at what to do. And a lot of other like YouTubers were retweeting because I think it like you said, it's really fucking scary. Like it's like
Gigi Hadid get in on this?
Yeah, so
that's when you know you fucked up when a Hadid goes, what's happening over here?
So she DM'd me and she's followed me. She watched my Nose Job series. And so, and I've met her before. She's so nice, very sweet. And she DM'd me and she has a contact at YouTube, which her contact at YouTube, not going to say who her contact at YouTube is explicitly, but it is someone who this is like so below their pay grade. Like they really, I was like, oh God, are you sure? And they gave me their like personal like phone number and email address to then contact them. And they were like completely floored and all of that stuff too. But I think the stuff that was the craziest to me was what happened between part 1 and like part 2 was that I thought we didn't need a part 1. Like, I thought part 1 was going to be it. Like I thought I make this video, it all gets figured out. And then it became even worse. And it became like even more silence and even more like not about any of that stuff. So it was, I remember I had so many auditions that like same week and they just like kept being like, hey, we can get on a phone call in 5 minutes. I'm like, I can't get on a phone call in 5 minutes. And it was like, I literally need Botox from it. It was so stressful.
Wait, so what happened in between? Were they reaching out, trying to rectify, or were they still ignoring the problem?
So, it was a lot of, it was a lot of like, someone had reached out eventually, but I was still emailing them. Like, and then finally someone then responded like a couple of days after the video was up. And it was a lot of me chasing them down to have a conversation. And it was a lot of, those are great questions. We have a conversation, have a phone call, and then we'll get back to you tomorrow. Then not getting back to me tomorrow, not the next day. Not the next day. And then me emailing every single day and nothing. It felt like it was moving slower than before.
Jeez.
And then I got Shane texted. It starts and ends with Shane. And then Shane texted Lily. And Shane has a contact at YouTube who all of YouTube saw my video. They all had seen it. And I was like,
well, they have to at that point because it's like, it might seem trivial or frivolous or like, self-centered in some way and superficial to be like, what about me and my channel? But the broader issue is that if this smaller thing doesn't get rectified, how can this potentially steamroll into really harmful shit on the platform that becomes impossible for them to rectify because they only have so much means of doing so?
No, exactly. Like, it just made me feel like, oh shit, like what else is happening? Like, what the hell? Like, what else is going to happen?
Yeah.
But Shane's YouTube contact wanted to like speak to me directly and we talked and they were like, I was like, why haven't I spoken to you since the beginning? Like, you make so much sense. You are smart. And like, you're being like, hey, we like hella fucked up. And I was like, thank you. That's all I needed. That's literally all I needed.
I'm not crazy. You guys acknowledge this. Thank you.
That's like what all I really, really wanted. And I got a lot of heat from like the third video that I did where it was like the conclusion that was like, I'm not getting my videos back. It sucked. I got some explanations. I got some explanations about stuff that I have to remain confidential about, but it's not helpful to like any other creator. It's more what specifically went wrong in my case, and they're fixing it. But if I say what exactly went wrong, it can happen. Like if I'm giving someone the blueprints to do it again, and they're working on it. And is that blind trust? Sure. But do I have to have blind trust? Otherwise, I will literally go insane. Yeah. And I think people like the pile-on of like cancel, expose. And I am all about like doing your research, deep diving, internet sleuthing, and all of that sort of stuff. But it gets to a certain point where when you're just consuming that as entertainment and you're being like, you have to sue. And I'm like, would you just like to Google how much it would cost to sue a $1 billion company that's like Google? Like, think about like there isn't. Nobody's going to feel like it's not a movie. And I think people kind of want that like comeuppance like moment. And I'm like, life's just not like that sometimes. And like you get tired. Like you get tired when you're that angry all of the time.
Oh, exactly. And it's like you have to at some point see the reality of it versus the movie version of it and say, what's like the cost benefit here to make this more dramatic, or is this, the best solution for me at this point? But I think you're always, it's crazy, right? No matter what you do, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Putting anything out there, people are going to be upset with how you handle or present anything all the time. And sometimes it just makes you want to crawl in a hole and not do anything. What fun. We were also talking about your podcast, Don't Blame Me, which you guys have apparently, Melissa found out right before that you've done 125 episodes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
What the hell? That's insane.
It's really crazy. Is there something or some things that you've learned the most over how many years have you guys been doing this? A few years?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, a few years. I've learned a lot, which is wild because I don't think I really even think about it in that sense of like, oh, what have I like learned from the podcast? But when I was doing edits of my book, like the last round of edits, I was recognizing that a lot of like the things I was updating or kind of like refining were things that I kind of learned through the podcast. And I was like, oh, wow, this is better than school.
This is sweet.
Yeah. I think something that's, I don't know. I think one thing that has changed, not necessarily changed a lot, but I think I'm like more aware of how I say things to like be constructive and not try. I mean, I don't try to hurt someone's feelings, but I like think of myself like I'm very, very blunt, and I am like the friend that you come to when you want. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to be honest with you. But I think I've like learned how to be more constructive in that and kind of recognize. I also usually really like when our callers will let us know if they are a water sign, specifically if they are a Cancer or a Pisces, so I know I can be easy on them. And like, or they'll be like, I'm PMSing. I'm like, great, cool. I needed to know that because like they're like, please just like be nice to me. I'm like, that's fine. Like as long as you let me know ahead of time. But any other, like, I think there's just a lot of like relationship stuff too. Like the more that a huge majority of the conversations and like advice questions that we'll get will pertain to relationships. And I think that I'm learning a lot more about other people's lives that are like in other walks of life that are different than my own and different than like the things that my friends experience. And then I think it's interesting too, because then we don't know necessarily what life experiences we have coming up. So like we've done episodes of the podcast where we've given advice and then like it happens in my life or whatever. And I'm like, oh, so am I going to like take my own advice or am I going to like not? So what's going to happen there? But I think it's cool too because we have people they'll call back in and give us updates or
that's cool.
And then we get to see like their kind of growth too. And I think if it's been like a long period of time too, we can kind of see it differently and then be like, oh, wow, this did work out how we thought or it didn't work out. But it's that. And then also that majority of men are trash is the other thing that I've learned.
Wow.
Some of these girls have the fucking they date some shitty dudes.
Ugh.
Some shitty dudes.
Well, I mean, the good thing is you no longer have the assumption, you have the actual proof of the potential shittiness of men and the experiences and how they've unfolded to be able to back up that. That said, you and Melissa have been working together for a while now. Do you think that you guys would succeed on The Amazing Race?
Wow, that is a very good question. I think we would if I was given a new stomach and new legs.
Okay.
But I think Melissa has everything that it takes to be on The Amazing
Oh
Race.
yeah, I feel like Melissa you would succeed regardless of partner.
She could do it alone.
Yeah,
she could fully do. I think that my only holdup is I definitely would hold her back and drag her down. So I think if I got a stomach transplant and then new legs, so I could like run and have better knees and ankles, I think I would be a good candidate.
Nice. Are there any reality shows that in the legs that you have now and with the stomach you have now that you think you would thrive in?
Oh, The Bachelor.
The Bachelor.
I asked Mott's multiple times. I'm like, would you let me go on? And he was like, well, they would know you're fucking with them. But he's like, no, you like, I think I would crush it. Like,
what would be your entrance? Have you thought about how you would introduce yourself to The Bachelor?
I think my entrance would be, it wouldn't be sexual because like those, they just don't, if they like the producers give you a sexual one, they're going to put like that, like wah, wah music in the background and like they're making fun of you.
Yeah.
So I think I would either do something like really simple or give them, I think I'd probably like give them a little thing. Like, look at this, like this little token, stupid and shit, whatever's related to like the tagline of your season. Like, like, but I would just be the whole thing that I'm revealing what I think the secret is that like in the show in general, it's everybody's like fighting for, and this specifically for The Bachelor, because I think The Bachelorette's totally different. Because I think women are really great at like, sifting out and picking the dudes that they like. But the other, for The Bachelor, it's my whole tactic would be make him want to date me as opposed to like, oh, I really want to date you. And the ones who do the best are the girls that like make them work for it, but in a really like, not an obvious way, not like you have to like come over here. And it's like, stop it. Like we see through that. It would be like I'm not like other girls, but I would never say that because that is a telltale sign you are like the other girls.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with the other girls. And so I would just really come at it from like oh my God, my friends signed me up. Like, I don't know, like who knows, whatever. But to be fair, that tactic is very much like Kelly from Peter's season. And then Kelly got sent home. But that's also because Peter is like Caillou. He's like a giant baby. So I can't.
Yeah, there seems to be some mommy issues going there. I didn't watch his season because it seemed a little, from the get-go, a little like, I don't think this is right. I don't think he's like got all the emotional tools in his emotional toolbox to make a decision that I, as an adult, could get behind.
You should watch his TikTok.
Oh, he's got a TikTok?
He's got a TikTok.
Is he good at it?
If the goal is laughter, he's fantastic.
Oh, great. Wonderful.
Die. But I'm also like, I loved Mike from, whose season was that? Hannah B. I loved Mike. He was like so sweet. He's like wanted my queen, like all about that.
Oh,
and then I also like every person, whatever you are, anybody would fuck Tyler Cameron. And that was my other like, sir, yes, sir. You can respect me any day. It's
wow.
Like, I'm here to help you with I'll respect your boundaries. And I'm like, please don't respect my boundaries. I have no boundaries with you. Wow.
Well, he's playing the game, I think, that you've described for yourself, that like make someone else want to pursue you. There's that sense of like aloofness, that like quiet confidence of like, I don't need to be all over you and I don't need to be paranoid in this situation, that puts people, that makes people uneasy when you're just like, yeah, I'm here. I'm not dramatic. I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly who I am. And I'll get ahead of the way that they potentially want to edit me. It'll be great.
Exactly. But it has to be, you have to do that for a bachelor who's confident. It can't be like a bachelor who's like, no, I need the attention and like the reassurance. But then I would be like, I'm sending myself home.
No, exactly. I want to be the person that would meet him right away and go, Yeah, no, not for me. But thank you. It was so nice to be here. I'm gonna have a couple drinks and then I'm probably gonna head out. But like, have
Right?
a good night.
Power
enjoy,
move.
enjoy your journey. Um, Baking.
Baking.
You've this whole other side of you that is you know it's all falls under the Megan umbrella, but it feels like a little bit of a divergent side from all of the self-help stuff. Baking is a major hobby for you.
It is. I refer to my brand as mommy blogger without a child.
That's great because that's what I'm like. I started to come up with potential shows to pitch you, and one of it. This is all very, very in the beginning stages of
Of
idea.
course.
Is called Prove It, where it's like you
You,
proving bread, but like while it's proving, you bring on an expert to come and prove some sort of like socioeconomic injustice and how people
it's
can help.
can it be me and Bill Nye
I think that'd be great. I mean, that's a collab that
and
everyone
Al
wants to
Gore?
see.
Oh my
Sure.
God. That's a trio.
There you go. For you, what is why? How did you find yourself into this world so much? Because it feels so much more like the podcast and the book. It's almost like a controlled messiness, you
Mhm.
know. And then baking is very precise. That is it. Just like a different side of your brain that needs that thing kind of fed.
It's also a controlled messiness, but it
Mm.
feeds into it's like me doing my new hobby is puzzles.
Oh
And
yeah.
it feeds into or it's not feeds into, but it caters really well to like my ADHD brain.
Mm.
So it is a lot of, oh, I can't necessarily mess this up and I have to be precise and I have to really think about it. And that's something that I am not like that. Like I am an elephant in a china shop. Like I am not delicate. I've never been delicate. I've never been dainty. Like I am
Mm-hmm.
just kind of a tornado. And
Right.
baking is something that forces me to not be that. Like I'm a type A tornado though too. So it's kind of like I'm upset. I'm like, but like in a very messy way, controlled
Uh-huh.
mess.
Yeah.
But I got into it when I was in I mean, I always loved watching the Food Network. Like that was
Mhm.
like my like I mean, not even guilty. Ina Garten is my queen.
Yeah.
Obsessed for so long. And then in college, when I like had no friends, I was making like dinner and like cooking for myself alone. And so it was a lot more like, oh, scrolling through Pinterest, finding
Mm.
recipes. And then the more that I just kind of like lived alone and had to cook for myself,
Yeah.
I realized that like, you know, savory food is like it's not that pretty and like it's not really cute and like not as fun. And
Uh-huh.
it also is you can kind of like throw it all around and who really
Right.
cares. And then I got more into baking shows and then just got really into baking. I think I was always fascinated by it. Like I loved going to pastry shops as a kid and just like looking at how
Mm.
pretty everything was.
Yes.
So I definitely like it from like an aesthetic standpoint of like this is
Yeah,
so fun and pretty.
it's all the benefits of cooking with the added focus and emphasis on aesthetic.
And I
Uh,
love an aesthetic.
of course, look at your Instagram.
Uh-huh.
The have you ever thought about opening a bakery?
I think that I think it'd be like fun to do like a temporary pub. I mean, in my dream, I would open like in a Nancy Meyers movie, like I am
Yeah.
Diane Keaton, and it's just like beautiful and it looks like Restoration Hardware.
Uh-huh.
And I'm there with my turtleneck and like my burlap apron. Like I
Yes.
love that image. I've also heard like the restaurant business and like is like very intense, but maybe
Yeah.
bakeries would be less intense. I think I would honestly thrive running like a bakery in Napa, like or like the
Mm.
Hamptons. Like I could just become Ina. I
Uh-huh.
would enjoy that, but that's what I see. Like I don't see myself doing it. I only see myself doing it with like white hair. Like I only
Yeah.
see it as like a kind elderly lady.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't want to be like the what's that like 20, 30-year-old doing in this bakery? Like I want like, oh, that sweet older woman. I wonder how her children are doing in college.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I want to look wholesome as hell.
I think you can get there. Okay, we're going to take one last break and then we'll wrap it up here on Not Too Deep. We'll be right back.
Not too deep. With Grace Helbig.
Well, we're getting towards the end of the podcast, Megan, and I'm going to ask you the 2 questions that you've answered before on the podcast that every guest gets to answer. And the first is, who or alive or dead, would you most like to throw cold spaghetti at? Or spaghetti. It can be warm.
Right now, that is such a loaded question because, like, the names off the top of my head, there are so many.
It's a Rolodex, yeah.
I would probably say, I don't know. I've been thinking about Condoleezza Rice a lot, and I wonder how she'd react.
Yeah, I don't know that we've had that answer yet. So that's a new one for us.
She's been on my mind for literally no reason. Like, she's just a name that keeps popping into my head. So I think I'd be more along the lines of, like, I want to know what she's doing. And then the spaghetti is a vehicle to, see where she's at in her life. Like,
to start a conversation.
Exactly.
Okay, the other question is to tell us your worst pants shitting story or a close call, but you can only use 3 words or 3 small phrases. So mine is college, jogging, front lawn. Yeah.
I remember.
I got to get an updated one. There have been so many. I don't know why. I just repress them so quickly now.
To be honest, I don't know if I've had any other, like, recent ones. Well, I also have IBS. So, like, I know the signs before they happen. And
That's good.
Let's get to this bathroom. Probably close call would be, I think maybe I did this the last time. Traffic, nail salon, close call.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I also love that your boyfriend's getting stuff out of the fridge in the background.
Hey, babe, I'm recording.
What's up?
I know, we can just see you.
He's so perfectly in frame right over your shoulder. It's great. I wanted to see how long that was going to go on for. Megan, thank you for coming back and talking to us about all the new updates in your world. It's very exciting. Usually in person, we provide our guests a gift, a personalized fortune cookie, but now we are doing some digital fortune cookies. So I believe Melissa has sent you, if you'd like to read your personal fortune cookie out loud.
Let's see. My really secure, really fast Wi-Fi. I mean, the Wi-Fi is secure.
And then we find out that you've just been hacked 17 times because we've talked about it in this podcast.
Oh my God. I'm like, is this like karma, what I'm finally getting? Okay. Fortune cookie. I'm opening. He's literally breaking down boxes. He's putting groceries away.
I love it.
Humans are the only animal whose brains shrink, but we have a feeling you already knew that. Wow. Is that true?
It was written down, so it must be true.
That's how it works.
And the way that all of us operate now, no use in doing our own research to find out facts for ourselves.
Honestly, fake news. Did you know that you should use this for another episode, but that kangaroos, I think the male kangaroos have like 3 penises and the female kangaroos have like 2 vaginas or something like that?
Yeah, I've heard something like that. I also recently found out that koalas will sometimes the females will mate like have orgies and they last longer than male-female sexual intercourse. Yeah.
Well,
crazy.
I mean, checks out.
Nature's crazy. Megan, where can people listen to the podcast, get the book, and everything that you're up to if they don't know?
The podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. We also do video versions on YouTube if you ever want to see Melissa and I, our faces as I like gasp, being like, what's happening? And my book is available wherever books are. I did an audio book that is available everywhere, as well as the hardcover and then the Kindle version. But people just have to Google where their country is, because the amount of times I've had to explain to people who are in Canada who are like, it's not on Amazon. I'm like, are you on Amazon Canada? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay.
Also, the caveat for everyone to have some sensitivities about the delivery schedule of everything as of late, because I know that there was some issues with that because of the way the world is right now.
Yes. So I know a lot of people got, which I'm flattered, got impatient and either did audiobook or like digital one, and then they're like, and then I have the hardcover as a coffee table book. And I was like, I love it.
It's great. The aesthetics make it a perfect decoration for your home.
Oh, I tried.
I love it. Thank you, Megan, for being here. This was so fun. Good luck
Thanks
recording.
for having me.
They're recording an episode of Don't Blame Me right after this. So guys, go listen to Don't Blame Me. And we'll see you next time on another episode of Not Too Deep. Goodbye.
Too deep, too deep, too deep. Not Too Deep
with Grace Helbig.
Not Too Deep is a production of Grace Helbig Incorporated, producer Melissa D. Montz, edited by Shireen Lani Yunus, post-production sound by Chris Henry, and an extra special thanks to Flula for the theme music.